Good morning once again, and thank you for joining us here on Sunrise at Sea. If you just tuned in, you are right in time for Our Views. Now, what we do here on Our Views is we get to discuss different trending topics and we give our perspectives towards these topics. Now, on the set today, I am joined by the usual suspects, Shivan and Sarah, but we do have a special guest, Dr. Grace Nambatia. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
Well, today we have quite a very sensitive topic that we are discussing, and it is suicide. And that's why we have the good doctor here in studio with us to give us more insight, because we give you our views, but we are definitely not experts on these particular topics. Now, what spelled this suicide conversation is what happened on Sunday. And former Miss USA, Chesley Christ, who worked as an entertainment correspondent for the television show Extra, was found dead after falling from a midtown Manhattan apartment building, police said on Monday. So she fell on Sunday, and she used to live at that building. Former Miss USA Chesley Christ has died at the age of 30 after falling from her New York apartment hours after she posted a cryptic note on Instagram. According to police, the model has committed suicide, and that is her there on your screens. Hours before her death, she wrote, and that was on Instagram, "May this day bring you rest and peace," followed by a heart emoji. And this has been happening very recently. And moving on to Regina King, who lost her son quite recently as well. And he was aged 26, just 26, imagine. And she wrote a statement after his suicide saying, "Our family is devastated at the deepest level." Grieving Regina King reveals her only son, Ian Alexander Jr., killed himself on his 26th birthday. And another star as well, a distraught Sinead O'Connor, has announced the death of her son by suicide. Her son, 17-year-old Shane O'Connor, had been under suicide watch at Dublin's Tallaght Hospital in Ireland when he went missing. The singer said her son had tried to commit suicide at least twice the week before he was found dead, and that is him right there. Shane was the singer's lamp of her life. Her son Shane, as you can see there on your screens. And lastly, here in Uganda as well, S4 student commits suicide after being admitted to a school he didn't want. Police in Kampala have kicked off investigations into circumstances under which a senior 4 student committed suicide after being admitted by the parents to a school that he didn't like. So as we dig into this conversation, I would like to ask the ladies, how do you deal with everyday life pressures? What do you do to deal with them?
Well, I personally, I would say, first of all, being an adult is not easy at all. Pressures of life will always be there. I mean, they're part and parcel of life. But the first way I personally deal with it is by understanding that not every day will be a good day. There will be days when you'll have the bad day. The question is, are you ready to still face the bad days? Or are you going to beat yourself up on a bad day and say, "Oh, I did not do this. I'm a failure. I'm a total. I do not deserve to be here." Or are you going to pick up your crown and say, "What? Yes, today I messed up, but tomorrow is a much better day." So I personally, I look at each day, I handle each day as it comes. I do not expect a day to go a certain way. Depending on what comes is how I actually face it. Whatever situation I'm faced with, whatever problem comes towards me, I face it head on, knowing that another day, another beautiful day will still arise tomorrow, and I could do and be something even better.
Well, I think for me, when I saw this story, and I'm directing this to you, Doctor, when I saw this story of the lady Chesley, and she had a lot going on for her, as you can look from the outside looking in. She had a lot going on for her, and she jumped from her apartment building. But what I would like to understand, and I remember being overcome with such emotion when this story came out, because you can never really know what's happening in people's lives and what leads them to get there. Now, I went through something like that. In 2020, I tried to commit suicide. I tried to jump off my 3rd building of the house, and my son stopped me.
Wow.
And since then, like, I keep on thinking about it, because many people don't understand they feel that you're being cowardly, but they don't really understand like where you're coming from, the state of mind in which you're in. So could you shed more light into that?
Yeah, the lady you're talking about, you said she was a celebrity.
Yes, she was.
And categories of such people, you know, in the outside world, first of all, they have to keep up appearances. But in their private lives, probably a lot is going on, and such a thing could be due to not being understood by a close person, maybe a partner. And in most cases, you find partners of such celebrities don't understand or appreciate. All could be feeling, why are you such a celebrity? You know, that's human nature.
Yes.
So you find somebody battling with why the world is not seeing her the way she knows herself. So it can lead to that. And a lesson to learn from this is that out there, like people watching us, should appreciate their close, you know, allies, try to understand them. But ultimately, we need to get back to the cause, the root cause in society. Coming back to Uganda here, we have cultures that are dictatorial. Families, there's dictatorship in families. Children are suppressed very early, you know. Children are free entities that really share their dreams freely, and the dreams are killed very, very early, you know. Below 13 years, by 13 a dream is killed. It starts off by a parent saying, no, you can't do that. You cannot aspire for that. So somebody grows up restricted in prison of himself, and there is that failure to listen, to get close, and then before you know, this person feels not understood, low self-esteem, nobody appreciates me after all, and once you feel nobody appreciates you, it leads to why am I living?
Yes.
So it accumulates. We're talking today about symptoms. We've seen somebody committing suicide, that's a symptom, but now we need to get back to why does it happen? It's the tough work, awareness. To what level are our people aware? Yeah, because you find, can be an office, the leader of the office himself or herself may not even be aware of themselves. Yes. And it all starts with not knowing the purpose of why you are created. Yeah, because there is a purpose why each person was created. That's why we have different fingerprints. You'll not find fingerprints that are alike. Yeah, so we need to nurture people very early into establishing their purpose in life, so that these people grow up feeling they're appreciated. Whatever they're doing is oriented to nurturing their purpose, but I think you believe that is lacking in our society and globally. Yeah. So there is this attack, sort of addressing the symptom, quickly trying to listen, you know, something, but ultimately we want to go back, we have to go back to the cause so that we nurture a new generation.
But do you think that, in my experience, and I can resonate with that, is sometimes, you know, you can be surrounded by so many people, but yet you feel so alone. It's so, like, it's so strange. Like you feel you can't be seen or heard. Do you think tough love in society? Yeah, because you have a problem and you go and you speak to someone, or you try to open up to someone. And you know, I think especially now during the pandemic, mental illness is at the forefront. But I think people love to talk about it, but when it comes down right to it, they don't sit to actually recognize, you get? Because when you say you have problems, they'll tell you, oh, we all have problems. Yes, we all have problems, but not all our problems are the same. And I think in that case, many people are hypocrites, because that's what they will say. And guess what? When this happens, like if you take your life or something, these are the first people who come to your social media pages, writing a very, very long, you know, status. Oh, we wish we knew, we could have done something. No, you saw the signs. You just chose not to do anything about them. What's your experience, Sarah? You're at a loss of words.
No, it's not that I am at a loss of words. I have a lot to say, because this is a situation that I have found myself in a number of times. And one thing that gets me through it is expressing gratitude. And for me, the core of my life is my child. And for everything that I do, I'm like, if I were not here, who would take care of him? And that is, he's the one person that gives me the strength to keep on fighting and pushing. But when it comes down to mental health, many times we don't know how much influence we have on other people, the people around us, our friends, our children, our family members, the things that we say, the ways that we act. It could be intentional, it could be unintentional. And it's important that we learn to listen. We stop and listen. And I always say this thing, when somebody comes and tells you how you made them feel, it is not your job to tell them that how they feel is irrelevant or is wrong. They are telling you what you did hurt me. So you can't tell me that I'm not hurt. It's how I feel.
Sure.
So let's
help how you feel.
Exactly. Let's learn to listen and learn to respect and appreciate people's feelings. So when people talk to you, listen. And I think that it comes down to a place, like you said, doctor, when people start feeling unheard and seen, unappreciated, and you start asking yourself the question like, then why am I here? Why am I here if nobody is appreciating me? Why am I here if nobody can let me be? And also the thing of shaming people for how they feel, shaming people for the things that they like, shaming people for just being them. That is also a huge indicator. And many people don't even understand that they're now falling into a bad place. And you just keep going on, and some people even get used to the suffering. I've heard people who say that, but that is life, everybody suffers, that is how it's supposed to be. No, that is not how it is supposed to be. So for me, the issue of mental health, and when it comes down to depression and to deep thoughts of even harming yourself or just not wanting to be around people, it's something that for me that started after I had my child with the postpartum depression, and I didn't even know that I had that, but I had feelings of, just so much darkness, and nobody could explain to me why I was feeling that way, and nobody wanted to hear why I was feeling that way. So for everything I complained or wanted to talk about, you're being emotional, you're being too much, you're being dramatic.
You're being too much.
And that is what everybody needs to say. It's very important to stop and listen, and also just learn conflict management, because you may be that one person that somebody is hanging on to for purpose, because this person sees me, let me hang on to this person, and then when you just leave or ghost, now they're like, why am I here? I'm even starting to get really emotional. This is really sensitive for me.
Just to add on what Sarah was saying, I think it also goes back and resonates with the fact that you have to be very careful with the kind of things that you tell other people, because you do not know when they are going through a hard situation, and the last stroke could be that particular statement that you make about them.
Yes,
for very many people that I have dealt with, because I work for Heart to Heart, and it's an organization, it's an NGO that deals with mental health, and we handle all these things. But for very many people that have come to us, they have admitted that there are times when they go to work, when they hang out with their friends, when they are with family, and just that one comment will come from someone that they hold dear, and it will break them. So I think it's very important that you're not the reason as to why someone is having an anxiety attack or is finally going through depression, and then it even goes worse to suicidal tendencies, because that is the climax of it. When someone becomes suicidal, then it has reached the climax. Again, I would like to urge stakeholders, parents, children alike, it's very important that we do not criticize this whole mental health and anxiety and depression, because many times we are quick to say, or that's a demon, you're possessed, it's a generational curse. No, it's something that people actually go through. It's not chejo. Me being here and saying I'm having an anxiety attack or panic is something real. I feel like the people who even employ us, the people who we work with, the people who we sit around on a round table, even down to our families, need to understand that these things happen and they are in society. And the signs are quite easy. It's just that we ignore them and reach for them to go to a higher level, and then we start saying, oh, I wish. No, your child is there, they are withdrawn, they are not as excited as they used to be, they do not even have a reason to wake up. Those are already signs as clear as the day. So I think for very many people out there, and if you are watching and you are going through anxiety, or you know someone who is going through anxiety, just be kind to them. Be there for them. Do not make it about you. No, it's not about you, and they're not seeking attention. They actually have a more underlying issue.
I want to add on to that and just say this, like, we are a heart bunch of people. Everybody is traumatized. All of us on this set have been traumatized and have demons within ourselves that we are facing or fighting or battling with or trying to cope with. We are all hurt. Everybody is hurt. Even when somebody spews out vile words or acts out in a certain type of way, or if you go to somebody and want to talk about your problems, chances are that person is also fighting battles or fighting demons or fighting trauma. We are all hurt. We are all deeply, deeply hurt. And I would love for each and every one of us to admit that. I am a hurt person. I am traumatized. I have problems too. I am not perfect. But you have a lot of people who are masking that. And that is why you find our dear celebrities just end it abruptly like that, because they think that they are supposed to embody this vision of perfection, of having it all together. And yet when you come out and say, I am flawed, I am hurt, I am traumatized, these are my demons. And one thing that I do is I always talk about my demons. Because when I talk to them directly, I let people know. When I get into relationships and friendships, I struggle with this. And these are my triggers, because I am speaking it out there so that you know, so that you also don't feel that when I'm having an episode, it's an attack on you. So I like to create the room for, openness, for dialogue, and for understanding especially.
And I feel that's a way to go. And I pose this to you, doctor. Like what Sarah said, that's how my root of depression started back in 2020. It was postnatal depression. And most women suffer from postnatal depression, and they are not aware that they're actually going through postnatal depression. If not treated, it escalates, which in my case it did. And I had to see someone after that. But doctor, how do we normalize saying that we are not okay? What has been with your experience with people who have come to you and seek for your help?
This is really very interesting, because we're discussing this at the height of, I think when we said trauma, it's at its height, given the pandemic that came to turn around, the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and given that some of the source could be at chemical level, like postpartum.
Yes, it's
there
really
is
bad.
A neurotransmitter that is very down, and we just need to know what to take. It could be a supplement, it could be some form of food that raises that, and this is where a health worker comes in. Yeah, but of course other things like social support around you. But we've inherited a lot of live with it. People have lived with it.
Yes.
Personally, I grew up knowing marriages can't work, but now we know it takes two to tango. You have an input to put in. There are things, for example, there are countries, I think it was Zimbabwe, where giving birth to twins was taboo, and these twins would be put on a river to disappear because scientifically they could not explain. There is vitiligo, where you get these patches.
Yes.
And they would say, just because they couldn't explain. Like they say, shaking, that you touched an in-law, but this is the beginnings of Alzheimer, Parkinson's. So, similar to what we're talking about, we need to appreciate that there are root causes. Socially, we need to be informed now. We're in a knowledge era, and knowledge is now a business. Almost things are really explained. So we need to get in and get people informed. Because even as we talk and we say, learn to listen and whatever, that person is also depressed, the one we're telling to learn to listen. Because you need to know yourself first and foremost. There are fronts, physical, social, emotional, spiritual. When we get to spiritual, we are created in God's image as human beings.
Yes.
It's just animals that are at a lower level. And for us as humans, God gave us part of that creation, even mandate to create, like
to be co-creators.
In which case, we need to recognize that he gave us everything, but we keep asking God. It's like you have a car key, it's been given to you, but you keep, and we go back to where they say the world was created through word. That should let us know that our words can create, our words can kill. We're killing people through our words. So this celebrity starts off by getting a negative word in her life, that I'm not worthy, I'm not whatever. So we need to be mindful of the words we say, because the subconscious just picks, like when you say, okay, like you've been saying that, like you say, short of this, like accepting it, we tend to say you accept, but then when you use the word that I'm not perfect, the subconscious picks that one and creates the environment to confirm to you that you are not perfect. So we need to, like you say, I have dates. Yeah, the subconscious will think you want dates. So we need to learn the language to use if we believe that the world was created through word. So make your word your world.
Oh, that is quite profound.
Very important.
Your word,
even
your
if I'm feeling like I want to say, okay, I'm not perfect, but don't, as they say, just say, I want to be better. So the subconscious will pick everything to aid you. That one. So we need to rewrite some of,
This thing.
take and pick from the child. How are you reacting to your child? Are you making him know he's good? And, so we tend to use negativity by wanting the positivity.
Wow.
And it can't work like that.
And just to actually highlight something that Dr. Grace did mention, even while we're talking about celebrities and anxiety, I think it is very important that we stop the habit of a picture-perfect family or a picture-perfect life. Surprisingly, we're all a group of people who are very happy on social media, but very sad outside. Like, we live the perfect life on social media, on Twitter, on YouTube, and what. But when you come into our homes and get to know people on a deeper level, people are actually suffering. Why? Because you feel that you want the life that someone else wants, forgetting that that person is actually battling demons and traumas. So can we stop living the life to please others? Can we learn to move away from picture-perfect families and live your life? Be your true self. It is okay to feel sad. It is okay not to have money, by the way. It is okay not to own that car. You do not have to make... we have so many people. I personally know some friends who have cars that are not even theirs. Why? Because they are trying to appease someone else who doesn't even care whether you are driving or not. So can we move away from that whole generation of living a picture-perfect life? There is more to life than just being perfect for the cameras, for the media, for someone else that is watching. Accept your truth and live your truth.
And this is the thing, your truth is perfect. Because like what you said, Dr. Grace, I did make the statement to say that, oh, I'm not perfect. But when you say things like that, then you are, triggering your mind to prove that you are not perfect.
The subconscious thinks in that direction. If you can learn that, you can express the negativity you want to express, but in a positive sense.
Yes.
Just do an experiment, you will see it working. Yeah.
So can we also implement the thing, let me just, for lack of a better word, the thing or the thought of saying, yes, I may not have all these other things, but it's perfect in the time that I am in right now. It is okay to not have these things. It's okay to not be this way. It's okay to not be in the place where people may expect me to be or where I think that I am supposed to be, but it is perfect right now and it will get better in time.
Definitely, because the subconscious will get better.
Yes.
And run quickly to pick from wherever, even remind you about your experiences when things are getting fine.
Yes.
Yeah, because again, gratitude, I think you talked about gratitude, is one great thing, because once you're grateful about something, the whole system will move to show you more. And even I think in Uganda they say webale webale amale. It's that.
Yes.
But even amongst the prayers we normally say, let's focus on the gratitude prayer, because there is a lot to be thankful about. First of all, when you sleep, you have no assurance you'll wake up.
True.
So be grateful you've woken up. Be grateful you brushed your teeth and you've not choked on the thing, the bristles of the whatever. Be grateful. There is, I think, this book, The Secret, which tells you, like, you can have a container and put a stone for everything you're grateful about. You find that,
It's
and you may not need to even ask God that give me this. When God created you in his image, gave you part of that ability for you to create, gave you everything. It's only the human being who keeps asking God, but you have the thing here. So if people can tune in on that and experiment, the whole world will be a happy world. Because now with COVID, social systems are changing. No longer shaking hands, no longer hugging, things that would bring people close together. Zoom, you communicating with people, not seeing, body language, not there. So we need to pick up the new abilities of feeling good in those alien ways of, can you imagine yourself not hugging a child, a friend's daughter? You cannot, anymore. So it's very important that we revisit those things that have been there, but we've not been out. We've been denying ourselves happiness. That should be there.
So, Doctor, what measures are being taken to ensure that people who have issues of mental illness, especially now during this pandemic, because as you said, we cannot show affection through touch or being in the same spaces where they tell us to be apart together. So how can we be apart together? How can we do? What are the measures in place?
Wow, actually, this is an innovative time.
Yes, it is.
We need to, it's like we need to assess and innovate. I wouldn't even say there is, because emphasis is on SOPs,
Yes.
So innovation, and I would say measures, one of them is we are on this program. We are communicating.
Yes.
We are alerting. We just have to package these ways of communication in many, many versions, to reach different segments. There are those who don't watch TV. So how do we communicate? How do we rebrand our schools? Yeah, like I think I said, I'm fascinated about the studio here, the way it's lined up. I've already seen glimpses of some of the programs here, capturing the youth, because Uganda has over 50% youth. Everywhere you see youth, so you're already doing it. Now it's an issue of getting in more into, like they say, we want to educate like people in Karamoja. You must take the programs into the cattle field. So we just need to think, innovate. That's why people coming out of schools now, graduates, should stop thinking they're going to find a ready job. They should be mentored into, what are the challenges? What can I do about it? So we already on the move. We just need to think more, think deeper. And that means we need to embrace meditation.
Oh, yes.
This is when you have quality time for yourself, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, to purge your brain, get out all that
negative energy.
Then that is the time you get into yourself and creativity comes. Whatever you call a challenge, solutions will line up, and this is proven scientifically because it taps into the other neurotransmitters we thought about. Is that
mindfulness meditation?
Sorry?
Mindfulness.
Yeah,
meditation.
Mindfulness and
yoga as well. They say it's nice.
Yes,
yoga.
All those, they are old practices in those other communities, but they are really, science has proven them, because the brain is very key to everything we're doing, and we're in a situation where the brain is so loaded with a lot of stress, the wrong thinking, I'll find a job. I mean, why can't you think otherwise? So we need to embrace those. So practices, yoga can really be brought in. Experts in the country are there. For me, the institution I'm heading knows who does what where. So we can point you to the authentic people to take people through. And the brain needs to be supported to really serve you. But there is no way we can get on well when it's bombarded.
Yes.
I'm telling you, it's so loaded, it's so charged. And this comes through inflammation, what we call inflammation. The foods you've eaten, the thoughts that have affected you, that you've allowed, and so many, many things. So those simple techniques can get you into tranquility, in a sense that you can pass through Kampala and there is a riot and it doesn't touch you because you left home focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also just a quick one. It's very important. Something I usually do when probably I'm having an outburst of anxiety, or I slowly see myself sleeping. I have a safe haven. Your safe haven could be a place. Your safe haven could be someone that you always talk to. Your safe haven could be somewhere where you just go and think. You talked about meditation. So come up with your safe haven. Who is your safe haven? What is your safe haven? Like, where can you actually go and find peace of mind? I think that is very important.
Well, thank you, Dr. Grace. That was Dr. Grace Nambatia, and she has been giving us insight about mental health. Today we have been discussing suicide, but before we go, I would like to read 2 comments of how people deal with life's pressures that came onto our social media pages, and that is Yokana. And he says, the pressures of life manifest each and every day. Suicide, however, has never seemed an option. Suicide is cowardly. Well, I beg to differ, Yokana. Life is a hustle, and you only stop hustling once God calls you. The late Paul Cafero's song called, that song, is a great teacher. And then Satam says, I twice wanted to kill myself when I thought my parents didn't love me enough. After having a good cry, I had changed my mind about killing myself and didn't want to die anymore. And this is what happens with suicide. Like, suicide is not premeditated, not quite really. Most of it just happens in the spur of the moment because someone is in so much pain. But well, yes, that's all we had for you on Our Views this morning. But don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back. Don't blink.
Well, we had a very emotional conversation and discussion on Our Views today, and I hope that you were able to pick a thing or two. And if you need any help, you can always reach out to a specialist. Go find yourself a doctor, a therapist, a counselor. Talk to someone. Talk to your pastor in your church, somebody you look up to. Talk to a mentor. Talk to somebody, or reach out to somebody who may have shared a similar story on social media, because everybody, every day, people are sharing their experiences. I hope that you find peace. I hope that you find stability. I hope that you find tranquility and the equilibrium balance in your life today. And that is all we had for you today on the show of Sunrise at Sea. But don't despair, because we'll be back again tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. For me and the ladies, thank you, Dr. Grace, for joining us today at the show. This was very therapeutic. I almost caught myself crying. Oh my goodness.
Crying is good.
Yes, crying is definitely good. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles, and that's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and that's at CTV Uganda. Don't forget that we are also always streaming live on our Facebook, and that's at CTV Uganda. And if you miss any of our episodes right here at Sunrise at Sea, or any shows on CTV, you can always catch up with us on our YouTube channel, and that's at CTV Uganda. Well, until tomorrow, don't forget to follow SOPs, pray, meditate, do yoga, and always look within. Have a great day.